went ahead. We're going. So yeah, I thought it would be a better movie too. No offense to your dad who really liked this movie.
Oh yeah, I never even asked him for the quotes for it. That could be
Uh,
another bit we could do.
that would have been so funny.
I'm sure he could. I'm sure he'll answer.
Yeah,
Last Boy Scout takes question mark.
you think he's gonna answer live?
Probably. He's
Anyways,
still up. I'm sure he'll answer.
yeah, that'd be so funny if he shot you a text real quick, right at the tail end.
Oh,
Um,
I'm sure he'll be faster than that if he is awake.
yeah. Welcome back to the Action Jack-Offs podcast, the show where we talk about the very best favorite action movies of all time. This week we are talking about The Last Boy Scout, 1991, starring Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans, one of the Wayans.
One of the
Um,
ways.
so it has been a hot minute. I think it's been like 3 weeks since we've done a podcast, probably more.
Sometimes we take a little breaks. We have a lot of stuff going on. Christmas is right around the corner.
Oh
We went and
yeah,
saw Steve-O. We've been busy boys.
we have been busy. That is for sure. Um, but yeah, you know, it all worked out. We're here. We actually saw this movie together. This is one of the rare instances we saw. It's funny that the two movies we've seen together have both been Bruce Willis movies for the show.
Oh yeah.
I just thought that was
Oh,
funny.
we also watched Demolition Man again.
Did we do that together?
Yeah, we laid in my bed together and watched Demolition Man.
I thought we laid in your not not to give anybody the wrong idea.
No, I did it on purpose.
But we did lay in bed together and watch Die Hard, I thought.
Was it Die Hard?
I thought it was Die Hard. I came over to your house. We watched Die Hard because I remember when I watched Man again. I was at the house. I was at my
I
house.
guess you're right. I just was mixing them up.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Um, but yeah, so this is one of those movies that were it had come recommended via your dad, was it?
It had been recommended through different. Oh, he already answered.
No, you gotta hit me with it.
He said, so it's been a long time since I watched it. Bruce Willis first scene is great. The football scenes are so dark, literally and figuratively. Just boys being boys. I like that it's been a long time since I watched it, is how he starts it.
Yeah. Well, this is a good way to remind him to go check it out again. You know, I pulled up our picker wheel. The damn thing has reset on me again, so I have to re-input all of the movies we had on there, and I don't remember what they were. It's really annoying because we did it. Pick this one. That's something
Oh, that's all right,
I'll
buddy.
worry about it at the end. But anyway, getting into this movie proper. Summarize it real quick. We have a jaded private detective reluctantly teaming up with a disgraced former football star to investigate a murder connected to a corrupt politician and football team owner, leading to a high octane, action packed chase with plenty of witty banter and explosive confrontations, highlighting the dynamic between the two unlikely partners, the film's sharp dialogue, and its thrilling plot with twists and turns centered around a conspiracy within the professional football league. And I don't know what your initial thoughts are relating to that, but I just have to say that I barely remember anything about this movie.
Uh, hey, I was just trying to read up on the synopsis as you were telling me that, and I was like, this isn't the same movie, I
This
feel like.
this is a totally different film than what I remember. And I do remember things I remember. I'll go over the things I remember and then I'll just be like, okay, I briefly one I remember Holly Berry is in it for like 5 minutes. Very early Holly Berry role. I remember that one scene that introduces Damon Wayans' character where he like throws the football at that guy's face, which was pretty badass, I'm not gonna lie.
It was pretty badass.
That was pretty cool. He said the best throwing arm in the league. Um and then I remember the scene where Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans meet for the first time on set, not on set, in the movie. Um, and Damon Wayans, Jimmy Dick's character, goes through that punch, and Bruce Willis' character Joe Hallenbeck catches the fist, and that's like it. I thought that was pretty cool.
Pretty sick.
I remember the daughter character, who
Being from
was
Halloween 4.
yes, who I remember in the moment we were watching the movie. The second you were like, "She's from Halloween 4," I lost my absolute mind. Um, so I thought that was really cool. Um, let me see here. What else? Was there anything else that was worth noting? Oh, I remember she had a mouth on her in the movie. Like she was like
Oh, she was swearing like a sailor.
she was swearing like nobody's business. Uh, kind of became like at the last tail end of the movie, kind of became like the very tropey like kid sidekick character. Um,
They ran out of stuff to do by the end.
they ran out of things, yeah. And I also remember like she hands her dad, Bruce Willis, this puppet, this like stuffed animal or something, and it's like got a gun in it.
Yes, it was the most Shane Black thing I remember
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Shane Black from Lethal Weapon, Predator. So you guys know
Eh,
Shane Black. We've talked about him before, and Joel Silver, producer, who we've talked about it before
We
many
have
times.
we've mentioned Tony Scott, but this is the first Tony Scott movie we've done, I believe.
Ridley Scott's younger brother or older brother?
I think he's the older brother, but he's this passed away
The
since.
late Tony Scott. Yeah.
Born in 44, and then let's see, Ridley.
Born in 19.
Ridley's the older brother.
Okay. So younger brother, Tony Scott. What were some of the other movies that he had done? Do you know? Top of your head?
He does True Romance after this.
Ah, yes.
He
That's
had
a good
already
movie.
done Top Gun.
So yeah, so he's had some bangers for sure.
He had already done Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Interesting.
And then he was coming off of Days of Thunder before he made The Last Boy Scout. And then he also made Crimson Tide and Man on Fire.
Okay. I
And
gotcha.
Unstoppable. Unstoppable.
The train movie?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was his last film, and it's one of the best.
Yeah, it's from what I remember, it's pretty good. Um
It really
other
is.
things that I remember
Oh, it's
from
an action thriller. It's on the list.
it's on the list. Other things that I remember from this movie has to be the most memorable thing, has to be the opening sequence with the football player who does PCP and then goes to like do the play and pulls out a gun and then just starts blasting away all the other like the opposing team and then gets to the end zone, does the touchdown and then like blows his brains out. And I
It's wild.
and I
We
want
thought this was going to be a way different movie after we saw that.
this is the tonal shift from that first 5 minutes to the rest of the movie has to be one of the biggest rug pulls I've ever seen in my life. And if you take the opening sequence to the ending sequence that both take place in football stadiums, you have PCP guy blowing his brains out all over the end zone, and then you have Bruce Willis at the end of the movie, just throwing that one guy off of the stadium lights, and then doing like his little jig he does, where he says, I'm gonna do a
It's
flip.
wild that it's going to get made.
Yeah, it's. I don't know what the production history here was. Um, Probably would have been something good to look into,
It's
but
Joel Silver, baby.
it's Joel Silver. It's really all you need. Um, some talking points that I have here, that I've drawn up. The unlikely duo trope, the contrasting personalities of Joe, the cynical private detective, and Jimmy, the fallen athlete, creating a compelling dynamic as they navigate the dangerous situation. Um, I'm embellishing a little bit here. Do you think this is one of the better or more notable uh, It's not necessarily a buddy. It kind of fits into the buddy cop trope, but it is really like the unlikely duo trope. And what do you think? Do you think this is one of the better ones? One of the ones that is kind of like the least memorable, or what?
I think this is towards the middle, but it's not at the bottom, but because it has such ridiculous standout scenes and characters and moments, just because they're so ridiculous that I would kind of want to revisit them to try to see what we were going with. But it also is not that great.
It's
There's a lot of lag.
there is, and I think a lot of it has to do, and I've said this before. It's harder for me to remember a lot of the Damon Wayans stuff that doesn't have to do with his like. Okay, so like he does have a character in the movie. He's got like his character's got like a cocaine addiction. He's got like the whole sports thing going on. He helps. He's actually like a helpful partner. He's not just like the comedic relief. Um, but I think when it comes to like one of the talking points I have down here is that the movie's got like a lot of like witty, memorable lines in it. Like both the characters are supposed to be like these like sharp tools. Um, and for whatever reason, I feel like Damon Wayans just can't keep up with Bruce Willis. I feel like it's part of the problem. Like you have, and we talked about this when we were watching the movie. Bruce Willis, especially during this period of his life, this was only like 2 years removed from Die Hard. This was still when he was like late '80s, early '90s. Bruce Willis was like the coolest Bruce Willis, and
Everything he said just rolled with swagger and testosterone.
exactly like you could give Bruce Willis the worst lines imaginable, and he would still somehow make it sound like it was the coolest thing.
Who's the dude in the closet?
Yeah, or when he's like,
Oh, you forgot you married a detective, huh?
that's a really cool scene.
that's that's what my dad said. Which bring it back to Keithy Boy because he did send me another text.
Okay.
The first one, what he did say was Bruce Willis' first scene is great,
Yeah.
and then he followed up with he said the first movie I ever went back to see 2 weeks in a row. He would have been 19 at the time, so that checks out.
Yeah.
He said that he thought Damon Wayans was going to be the biggest movie star ever.
Really?
So that was his takeaway in '91.
Man.
He thought he was gonna. I'm assuming that he was like just taken, like just hadn't seen him before
Right. And this is like
in like a big movie.
and this is like his first introduction to him.
Uh huh.
Yeah, man. What a miss.
I know what could have been.
I mean, it's honestly like not here's the thing, it's actually not that bad of a movie. Like I'll give the movie a lot of shit. I think its biggest problem is that the plot can be a little
The plot and
nonsensical.
the pacing, really.
The plot and the pacing are just like really bad, but I think it's got a lot of moments to it. Like it's kind of one of those movies that is not necessarily like self-aware of what it is, but it is one of those movies that knows what it is. Not from like a meta contextual standpoint, but from like a we know that this is like a schlocky kind of action movie. So
Oh yeah, we're gonna double down.
we're gonna double down. We're gonna try and have all this like witty dialogue, a lot of these like action beats, a lot of these tropes. But then it like gets into like these really complicated like mysteries, and it's not like it's good mysteries. You know what I'm
No,
saying? Like you don't
it
go
feels like
see
revisions.
yeah, you don't go see a movie like this for the mystery and then like the complicated story. You go to see a movie like this because it's supposed to be a dumb popcorn flick. But I feel like it fails at that. It fails at that because at a certain point you're just sitting there saying to yourself, "What the fuck is even happening? What is going on? Who cares?"
See, what's really funny is that I'm reading the plot again just to keep it fresh. The first two paragraphs completely make sense. The middle three make no sense, and then the last one makes sense again.
Yeah, like it's
Like
like
the Even the way that they're explaining how the plot works, I don't fully follow.
Right. Because it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
Like it has something to do with a corrupt politician, and then it has something to do
In
with
the
like
NFL,
the NFL, the football
but made up
owner,
teams.
gambling, which leads me to my next point, which is the whole like corruption in sports thing. The film exposes a dark underbelly of professional football with powerful figures manipulating games and using violence to maintain control. Like the guy that gets on PCP in the beginning is like got a bunch of gambling debts or something, and
That's why he's got to score a certain amount of points and stuff to
yeah,
repay those debts.
yeah. So he's got to like do PCP and then just like go do his shit, but he ends up killing a whole bunch of people because he goes crazy from the PCP. But uh, to me, this is funny. Like what the plot ultimately is. It's these guys that are trying to legalize sports gambling.
Oh yeah, it's just the completely outdatedness of it.
Yeah, it's exactly like
They
it's
whiffed on that. They whiffed on that harder than Damon Wayans. Let me tell you.
like they made it seem like it was like this big huge thing where they were like, "Oh man, you're trying to legalize gambling? You scumbags!
You absolute monsters.
you
Meanwhile, I just put a bet on UFC like 2 days ago.
exactly." Like it's so funny to think about how this movie came out. God, 33 years ago or something like that, and somehow back then, and the contrast to now, I mean, we have apps on our phones that literally let us gamble on sports.
Yeah, in certain states, mind you,
Bro, yeah, not every
not
state.
every state, not every state in the United States allows you to do this. But in the state that we currently live, you can. We literally can just do it on our phones.
Exactly. I mean, the fact that it's even such a commodity in some states, I think is so funny. And that in this movie, it
It completely makes the logic of this movie fall apart even worse, though, for us at least.
exactly like looking back on it and
hmm
trying to put myself into the mindset of, oh, this is the early 90s. This was something that was illegal. Even though people still did it, it was something that was technically illegal. Uh, but the fact that it's like something that people can just do now, I think is so funny. I think it's hilarious. It kind of takes away from the stakes of the movie. Looking
Yeah,
at it now with like my modern eyes.
it's as if we were watching a movie about prohibition, but it took place in the 90s.
Exactly.
Like, you'd be like, wait, why are they upset about alcohol?
Exactly. Like it just it's funny because it just doesn't make sense.
It just
Uh
doesn't make sense.
it just doesn't make sense. Another moving on to the next thing that I have right here. Action sequences. The big thing for us, action sequences. What did you think about these actions
I actually
scenes?
quite enjoy it. They were the parts that I paid attention to the most, I feel like.
Yeah,
The second the second they started talking for too long, or it wasn't Bruce Willis or Damon Wayans talking, I've kind of checked out. Or sometimes when Damon Wayans and Bruce Willis talk for too long, I checked out, you know?
yeah.
But the action sequence is pretty good. Pretty good. For a
See,
budget of what do we got? Budget of 43 million. That's not chump change, but that's not the highest I've ever seen for an action movie.
no. I mean, for me personally, I don't know. I kind of have mixed.
They weren't top tier,
They
but
weren't
they
the best, but
no. I enjoyed the car chase bit where or the car explosion bit.
yeah, yeah. When the car explodes, I mean, anytime there's an explosion, it works, especially in the '90s,
Oh
where
yeah.
they're actually blowing something up and it looks cool. But I don't know. Like for
All of the
me,
different shootouts.
the different shootout, like the shootout in the woods, I think is the most
That one is
memorable.
fun.
That's the most memorable shootout. Um,
You don't think the action on the football field slaps?
I mean, outside of the PCP stuff,
That's what I
that
mean. The
that
PCP opening
the
shot.
opening shot, I would.
Isn't that just
That's
ripped
more.
though?
That's more of like a horror movie or something. I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
what if that was the whole movie though? It
If
was
that,
just football. What if here's my movie pitch. We make a movie where they're putting prisoners to play football and they could use weapons and stuff. It's like The Longest Yard but meets Death Race. and the Running Man.
Yes, immediately
Yes,
yes.
green light it.
Green light it. Send that shit.
Send
Uh,
that shit to Netflix.
I'd watch that shit, and I'm almost positive
Oh,
there's
you're right.
movies like that that exist. But I'm telling you right now, I've watched that shit.
I'd watch it.
Yeah. I don't know. Other than that, though, like the action sequences, I find not to be that memorable. The only thing I remember that I wish I vaguely remember it, but I wish I remembered more of it, is that scene where Damon Wayans, his character had like a knife get stabbed through his hand or something. It's like
That part is pretty awesome.
he either got shot or stabbed through the hand. I don't remember.
I
Uh,
believe it was shot.
yeah, and then he like he he has to like save Bruce Willis. So he like finds the strength to grab the football with his like fucked up hand and chuck it across the room and save the day. I wish I could remember more of that scene, but I cannot. I cannot. Oh well. I wanted to briefly talk about the female characters in the movie. The
Halle
one
Berry.
Holly Berry, yeah, Corey, thought she would have played a more significant role.
It's just an in and out 5 or 6 lines back and forth and then dead.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Oh no, he's yawning already.
Oh God, I'm bored.
Oh no, he's bored. He's bored while he rips this. Ah, he can't even. He's not even excited to berate this movie.
It's just like such a. It's such a. It's
Such a
it's
nothing
it's
burger.
such a nothing burger. Okay, you want me to just shit on the movie for a second?
Yeah, fucking get excited about something. You sound so. You sound like such a whiner.
Oh my God, dude! Like it's
Get ramped
it's
up.
like yeah, this is
Tell
a.
me how
It's
you
like
really feel.
it's like yeah, Bruce Willis can make this shit sound cool, but it's like of all the Bruce Willis movies, this is like one of the worst. I mean,
It's one
it's
of the
I mean,
worst.
it's no Hudson Hawk or something like that, but it's like,
What about Lincoln Hawk?
but it's no fucking. I don't know what that is, but it's
That's the character from Over the Top that
oh
uh
Hawk.
Guy plays.
Yeah. Damn, dude. Now you want to talk about a good movie?
That's a bad movie. Cliffhanger's better than Over the Top.
Yeah, but I mean, let's not get into semantics. You want to talk about?
I'll argue about which Sly movies are actually good all day.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about Sly movies versus Bruce Willis movies. They have a pretty
You're right.
similar.
You're
They
right.
have a pretty similar career,
They
honestly.
do.
Like they have good movies and they have bad movies. Like I feel like during this time period, Bruce Willis had more bad movies than he had good movies.
Oh yeah, but this is all leading him to Pulp Fiction, where he has his
That's
comeback.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and then he did. Then he would go on to do like some of the best movies ever made. Like he would do the
Oh yeah,
sick
then he does Pulp. He
Pulp
he runs
Fiction. He runs
He
the
does
gauntlet.
Last Boy Scout, then he does Pulp Fiction, 12 Monkeys, The Fifth Element, Armageddon, The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, and then the rest of them are hit or miss.
Hit or miss. Yeah, yeah. He
The
really
whole
ran the
nine
gauntlet.
yards, Sin City, Expendables, Red, and
Red
then
is
Looper.
good.
Looper I like.
Looper's good. Expendables is just the Expendables. We'll
Yeah,
we'll cover that one of these
I've
days.
never seen Red.
Red is really good. It's basically like what if
DC Comics.
it's I don't
Bruce
remember. It's like
Wayne.
Boom Dynamite Comics or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like what if action hero but old.
So it's just the Expendables, but a little bit less Expendables.
It's just got the only expendable is Bruce Willis, and then it's got like John Malkovich and Morgan Freeman in it.
Yeah. And then Glass, which I'm a defender.
Eh, could have been better.
It could have been better.
Could have been a lot better.
Hey,
I'll
I
say
agree.
this. I'll say this. Uh, other than like the last 20 minutes, it felt like it was like building up to a much different movie.
Oh yeah, but I still like the ending. I'll
I could
defend it.
I could honestly sit here and talk about Glass, but unfortunately we have to talk about the last Boy Scout.
Yeah, I was just about to say. Actually, would you rather watch The Last Boy Scout again
Would I?
over Glass?
Yeah.
This is how I
I would
will now
watch I would
defend stuff.
I
I'll be
will
like, but is
watch
it The Last Boy Scout?
I will watch the first half of I will watch the first half of Glass any day of the week over The Last Boy Scout. If I have to sit and watch the entirety of Glass, I will watch The Last Boy Scout again.
You're oh, you need to rewatch them. See, with the order that you should watch them is you should watch Split, then Unbreakable, then Glass.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, because you watch Split first, and then at the end you're like, well, who the fuck is Bruce Willis, and why is he at the end of my movie?
That's so dumb.
Then you watch Unbreakable. It's like a
No.
flashback.
No.
Then you watch Glass. Yes,
No, it's dumb.
you're dumb.
Why would anybody do that? That's so dumb.
Don't even ask me how I watch Star Wars
That's
then.
like watching Monsters University and then watching Monsters Inc.
I still haven't seen Monsters University. Is it any good?
No.
No.
It's it's dumb.
You're in a bad mood.
I guess. I don't know. I feel like I'm in the exact appropriate mood I need to be.
For the Last Boy Scout.
For Last Boy Scout, exactly. I mean, it's just such a fucking fuck, man. Like
Hey
it's
man.
not it's funny to a degree, and then it gets to a point where it's overstays its welcome. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
it's like I'm fine with it's like I'm fine with whatever it is that they have going on, but I just get so fed up with it. And we even said that there's like certain things during the movie that just don't work. Like we were talking about the chemistry between uh Damon Wayans and Bruce Willis. It fucking sucks. Bruce
Yeah,
Willis
like
is
there's parts that shine,
there's
and then
parts
there's
that
parts where
shine.
you're like you can tell that they did like 12 takes and they just went with one.
Exact. And it just Bruce Willis is carrying the movie on his back. And he's carrying the bulk of whatever's going on with Damon Wayans. Like it's just like it just doesn't work. It's like some people just don't work in the sphere. Like and this is probably a really bad comparison, but I will always compare unlikely duos to what I consider the gold standard, and that's Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan in Rush Hour.
I mean, that is just a perfect movie.
That's
Now,
that
are you a Rush Hour 1 or a Rush Hour 2 guy?
I'm a Rush Hour 2 guy.
Yeah,
I
that's
love the first
supposed
Rush
to be fun.
Hour, but I think Rush Hour 2 is where they perfected it.
And then in Rush Hour 2 is when they have the outtake at the end where he's like, well, he's not going to be in Rush Hour 3.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's just perfect.
We got to do Rush Hour one of these days.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, but
Cannot wait.
we've already got so much shit on the list, so
Hey, that's all right.
we'll just get through a few of those things. Um, I don't know. What do you think is like the legacy of this film?
I've seen it on a bunch of lists for action movies. That's why I brought it up in the first place. I've seen other podcasts about it. I think it just is in a lineage of these buddy cop, unlikely duo films. That's probably where it's just on a ranked list of those somewhere for certain people. I think this is probably Tony Scott's least important film as I'm looking at his filmography. It seemed like a bunch of people who were hot at the moment trying to do a thing, and it grossed more than double its budget, so it had to have done relatively well. And it's got an interesting, sketchy legacy, in my opinion.
I will look at this as one of the movies that
It's a stepping stone
it's a for who?
for I feel like Tony Scott, if anybody.
For who? I'm sorry.
I said I feel like Tony Scott, if anybody, was to benefit off of this.
Well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like if we're gonna like, because I don't
If
think
we're gonna if we're gonna go through everybody that worked on this and where they went after, I mean, if anything, it actually sets up Bruce Willis for that silver age
for a
of his career.
redemption, for a redemption.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
because
that makes
Shane
sense.
Black at this point had already written far better movies.
Yeah. Well, then I guess the person who suffered the most from this had to be Damon Wayans.
Oh yeah,
Because I don't think he had.
retaliatory.
He didn't
Halle
have.
Berry is a stepping stone for
That's
her.
true. I totally didn't even think about that. That's probably the biggest stepping stone right there.
Because then for her, right after this, let's go down the list. Go farther back. All right, fine. We're going to IMDb. Sorry, uncomfortable silence.
No, that's fine. I I
Taking
I,
a look.
I actually enjoy uncomfortable silences.
All right.
Especially between friends, because then it's like, oh, I don't have to worry about filling the air with fucking noise because there's like this unspoken thing between us where we don't have to feel the need to constantly fill the void.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She did. She had to. She had to put some work in before she got to X-Men and Monsters Ball.
Well, she because her big movie was James Bond, right? In the 90s. That's what really took her off.
Yeah, Die Another Day, and that wasn't until 2002.
Oh man, never mind though.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's in a lot of TV shows and B movies. And then yeah, so then X-Men Monsters Ball and Die Another Day. That happening in a
Relatively
from
short period
2000,
of
yeah,
time.
2000 to 2002 she did 3 big movies and then 2 more X-Men, Catwoman. She's off to the races after that. So this is just a little bit part for her. Got her some credentials. But yeah, it seemed like people were gonna be going places afterwards.
Yeah,
Bruce Willis seems to be the person who got the most out of it though.
he lifted off. Yeah. I mean, he had some good stuff. I mean, like you already said, he went on. We already talked about how he went on to do bigger and better things. Plus, he still had like some Die Hard movies to fall back on if this didn't work out.
God rest his God rest his acting career.
Yeah, poor guy. Let's see here if I can find some of my favorite quotes from the movie because I always do remember.
There was something really funny that I already forgot.
Let's see here if I can find it. Let's see here. Oh God, dude, this one made me laugh. I remember when we watched it. I have to read them again just to remember them. But once I read them, I remember them.
Water's
There's
wet.
water is wet. No, check this one out. So it's when he's outside the strip club and those people like those thugs like pull Bruce Willis aside and it's the one guy and the thug is like wrong place, wrong time, nothing
Oh yeah,
personal.
looking at it now.
And Joe is like, Bruce Willis is like, that's what you think. Last night I fucked your wife. The guy's like, oh, you did, huh? How'd you know it was my wife? He goes, she said her husband was a big pimp looking motherfucker with a hat. The thug says, oh, you're real cool for somebody who's about to take a bullet. And the Bruce Willis says, after fucking your wife, I'll take two.
Which is so funny because it's like, how do you take that insult? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's like, because fucking his wife must have been so bad that
But is it so good that he'll just be like, ah, you probably deserve to put 2 in me?
no, he says after fucking your wife, you gotta put two bullets in me, please. It's gotta be what it is. I mean, I'm
Here,
glad you can interpret it two different ways.
here's the funny one. So it says Joe gets to his office after waking up to a dead squirrel and a bunch of kids threw in his car. Mike Matthews, what did you do last night? Joe, I think I fucked a squirrel to death. Don't remember.
Shit, there's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of good ones. Um, oh, dude, when he's like in the mirror, when he's like looking at his reflection in the mirror, this was so funny. When he's looking at himself and he goes, "Nobody likes you. Everybody hates you. You're gonna lose. Smile, you fuck." And you just looked at me while we were watching. You were like, "That's what I say to myself every day in the mirror."
Every day in the mirror. It's back when we used to make things in this country. I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
Oh yeah. It was so funny. That was so fun. I looked at you during one point in the movie and I said that.
Yeah, you did.
Oh yeah, when they were like fucking around with like the cassette in the car or something, and then
Oh
like the
yeah.
cassette started fucking up, and I looked at you and I was like, back when they used to make things in this country.
It's perfect.
Oh shit. Oh man, I'm seeing if there's any good ones.
Oh, here's Here's Wayans to himself. Okay, what would Joe do at a time like this? He'd kill everybody and smoke some cigarettes.
Yeah, pretty much. Uh, yeah, no. I mean, there's a lot of like witty dialogue, but um,
Oh, here's another Wayans one. Wow, an actual house. I was thinking of a cave with skulls and shit.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of ties into like what he says later when he's like, when he's talking to Joe and he's like, "I'd love to meet the bitch that fucked you up."
Oh, and the expensive pants. That was actually really funny.
What is it about the expensive pants?
He was like, we were talking about how like he did the job for $500, but his pants were like 650 or something.
Yeah,
And then here's a line at the end of the movie. He hands Wayne's character a briefcase full of $6 million. He says, "Go buy yourself a new pair of pants."
yeah,
God, what just a nothing movie, you know?
yeah. I mean, it's got a few good things going for it, but
Man, let's fucking spin the wheel. What are we doing
let's,
here?
yeah, hold on. Let me pull it up. Let me spin the wheel. Boop. There we go. All right, let's spin this shit. So we got Lethal Weapon, Point Break, Roadhouse, Resident Evil, Police Story, and Avatar. And we said we were not going to add anything else because we need to get through these movies.
Yeah, we do. Some of them have
And
been
here we
on too
go.
long.
We bit off a lot more than we could chew, probably.
Hey, that's all right.
Come on, so close to Roadhouse. No, it's Resident Evil.
No!
Ugh, fine.
That's all right. I like the first one.
I've never seen it, actually. This will be my first time watching
Really?
it. It'll be my first time
Love
watching it,
it.
yeah.
You might like it.
I might. I might. All right, we're not going to add anything else. That's going to be it. We're doing Resident Evil next. I mean, we squeezed out a good like 40 minutes mostly talking about the Last Boy Scout.
Hey, we had a little bit of nonsense here and there,
Yeah, well, it's
but this movie was a lot of nonsense. We
that,
just cut out a lot of the filler. You know what I'm saying?
exactly. Anyway, I guess final thoughts would be: would you recommend people watch this movie?
You gotta watch it once just to see what we're talking about. See how
Yeah,
nonsensical it is.
one of
You
these
gotta
days.
cross it off the list.
I would also say watch it. If you're a big Bruce Willis fan, I would say watch it just to check it out. You'll get a kick out of it just because of the whole like Bruce Willis can make anything sound cool. Like when he's like when his boss calls him, he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Do you have any plans?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm smoking some cigarettes." He goes, "All right, well, can you like postpone?" He's like, "I don't know. These are some good cigarettes." And like I say it and it sounds like ass. It doesn't sound cool, but if Bruce Willis says it, it sounds cool as shit.
Yeah, man, these cigarettes are pretty good, man.
Yeah, yeah. See, you can't even nobody can even do a good impression to like make it sound good. Not to put you down. I'm just saying.
It's pretty good cigarettes, man.
Pretty good cigarettes. Anyway, yeah, I recommend it at least once, not because it's good, but just because it's got Bruce Willis in it. I think that's gonna be it from us. What else was there? Was there anything else? Am I forgetting anything?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. All right, that's gonna be it. Bye.
Good night.